Before language, before alphabets, before gods had names, there were symbols. Shapes not meant to be read, but felt. Not created by humans, but remembered by them. These symbols carried no religion, but opened doorways. They didn't speak to your mind, they spoke to your energy. One symbol in particular, found across every ancient civilization, from temples in India to tombs in Egypt, from Tibetan mandalas to Aztec carvings. A shape hidden in plain sight, simple, perfect, powerful, the circle, interlocked, spiraling, radiating. They called it many names. You may know it as the flower of life. But this isn't just art, it's code. A living, breathing geometry that mirrors the structure of creation itself. And when you understand how it works, not just mentally, but energetically, it unlocks something ancient inside you. Because your body isn't just a shell, it's a temple built on sacred math. And this symbol is the key. Your body is not random. It wasn't thrown together by chaos. It wasn't assembled by accident. It follows a code, a sacred design, a pattern older than time. And that pattern, the one woven into your DNA, your organs, your breath, your heartbeat, is the same pattern found in the flower of life. Look closely. The 7 circles at its center mirror the 7 chakras in your body. The way the curves overlap, they create vesica piscis, the geometry of creation itself. The expanding rings, like the aura, subtle and layered, field upon field of frequency. This symbol isn't about energy, it is energy, frozen motion, intelligence made visible, and when you meditate with it, breathe with it, trace it with your intention, it starts to realign the geometry inside you, because your energy body, your chakras, your meridians, your kundalini flow isn't just spiritual poetry. It's math. It's precision, it's ancient technology built into your human design. The flower of life isn't just a symbol you look at, it's a mirror, a guide, a recalibration tool left here for those ready to remember. That symbol calls to the ancient parts of you, the parts that know energy is not imagined. It's encoded. Here's the mystery they don't want you to ask. How did the exact same symbol, the flower of life, appear across continents, cultures, and centuries apart, with no connection between them? It wasn't shared by trade. It wasn't copied. It emerged over and over. From Egypt's Osirian temple, etched deep into granite, to China's Forbidden City, buried in the architecture, to Leonardo da Vinci's private journals, sketched in silence, to the Kabbalistic tree of life, built from the same root geometry. Even in ancient Mesopotamia, Sumerian tablets and carved stone wheels in the Andes. Why? Because it wasn't just a symbol, it was a frequency map, a resonance that souls across time were tuning into, a sacred shape remembered by those sensitive enough to feel the code beneath form. And when a civilization began to awaken, when their collective energy reached a certain frequency threshold, this symbol began to appear, not as decoration, but as activation. That's why throughout history, it was hidden, not banned outright, just quietly removed from schools, from temples, from mainstream texts. Because this one image could rewire a mind, could awaken a field, could reconnect you to a time before forgetting. And those in power, they couldn't allow that. Because a being who remembers the sacred structure within them can no longer be controlled from outside them. This isn't metaphor. This isn't mysticism dressed as poetry. This is precision. The flower of life, when engaged with consciously, activates dormant energy in your body. How? Because your body is built on geometry. Your DNA coils into spirals. Your cells divide according to the golden ratio. Your energy moves in torus fields, not straight lines. And this symbol, it speaks directly to that geometry. When you meditate with the flower of life, When you breathe through its layers, gaze gently into its symmetry, let your eyes unfocus and your awareness sink inward. It's like entering a sacred equation. Each intersection becomes a point of contact. Each curve becomes a path. Each petal becomes a mirror of a chakra, a memory, a center of frequency. Start at the center. The core circle, stillness, your root, the base of your spine. Then follow the spirals outward, moving energy up the spine, through the sacral, the solar, the heart, throat, third eye, and crown. It's not visualization, it's recognition. Because the energy doesn't come from the symbol, it comes from you. The symbol just shows you where it's been locked and how to release it. Many report heat rising up the spine, pulsing in the third eye, pressure in the heart center, visions, memories, past life recall, and a deep sense of "I've done this before." Because you have. You've worked with this symbol in other lives, other systems. You're not learning it, you're reactivating it. And once it starts to move, your old blocks have nowhere left to hide. Once the ancient energy inside you begins to stir, nothing stays quiet. The nervous system responds first, not with fear, but with alertness. As if the body remembers. This current is familiar. We've held this light before. You may feel warmth in the spine, subtle vibrations in the palms, a magnetic pull toward your heart center, tingling between your brows. These aren't random sensations. They are responses to a system reboot, because the flower of life doesn't just wake up energy, it wakes up memory, memory stored in the body, in the fascia, in the cells, in the breath. Old pain surfaces, buried grief emerges, but not to break you, to leave you. This is what most people fear when they start energy work, not the light, but the release, because light reveals where the shadows live. But here's the miracle. The more energy flows freely, the less resistance you carry. The body becomes a clear channel, the mind becomes still, and the intuition sharpens like a blade. You begin to feel what's real, without needing proof. You begin to sense alignment, without second guessing. You begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And most of all, you realize that energy isn't just inside you. You are energy. And this symbol didn't give you anything. It simply reminded you of what was never lost. When the energy inside you shifts, the world around you has no choice but to respond. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. You are a frequency, and reality mirrors your signal. So when ancient energy reawakens, people fall away, patterns break, timing becomes precise. You stop chasing and start attracting. The flower of life doesn't just adjust your chakras, it rewrites your field. You start to carry a resonance of inner truth, and anything built on lies, in yourself or others, cracks. You'll notice. Conversations shift, old triggers dissolve. The jobs, relationships, and beliefs that once defined you no longer fit, not because they changed, but because you did. This symbol is like a tuning fork. It calibrates your inner geometry to match the blueprint of harmony. And when you're aligned internally, life starts to bend around that alignment. Synchronicities increase. Doors open that logic can't explain. You meet people who feel strangely familiar, like soul contracts resurfacing at the exact right moment. But here's the key. You can't fake this energy. You can't pretend to awaken. The symbol only amplifies what's already been earned. If you're still living in distortion, it will intensify the distortion until you confront it. If you've done the inner work, it will accelerate your unfolding beyond what you thought possible, because sacred geometry doesn't lie. And once you realign with it, life stops being random. It becomes a mirror, and you become the source. This isn't meant to stay in your journal, or on your wall, or as a tattoo you half understand. The flower of life is alive when you live with it, not just around it. Here's how it begins. 1. Meditation with intention. Sit in silence. Place the symbol in front of you, on paper, cloth, or etched in crystal. Don't look at it. Let it pull you in. As your breath deepens, trace the curves with your inner eye. Breathe into each petal as if each one were a chakra, awakening, balancing, opening. 2. Visualization in motion. As you move, walking, stretching, dancing, imagine the symbol within you, not on your chest, not over your head, but as a spinning geometry at the center of your being, a radiant mandala responding to your motion. You're not moving through space, you're activating space through your movement. 3. Placement in your space. Put the symbol where your body will see it, above your bed, on your water bottle, etched in your journal, placed at the center of your altar. Each time your subconscious registers it, you're feeding your field with coherence, not chaos. 4. Breathwork with the pattern. Inhale from the outer ring. Exhale into the center, again. Imagine each breath collapsing the complexity of the day into the simple, perfect symmetry of that shape. And with each breath, you remember, this isn't an external tool, it's an internal map. You are not using it, you are becoming it. When this becomes your daily ritual, your system begins to vibrate in new tones, not higher or lower, but truer. Because truth, like geometry, doesn't bend to opinion. It simply resonates. You may think it's a trend, a spiritual aesthetic, another sacred image recycled for modern shelves. But the reappearance of the flower of life is not coincidence. It's a signal. Throughout history, this symbol emerges during windows of awakening, when consciousness begins to rise and humanity reaches a point where remembering becomes possible. It's happening again. More people are feeling the pull. More are dreaming of shapes they can't name. More are sensing patterns behind chaos, geometries behind trauma, harmonies buried beneath fear. Why? Because the collective grid is shifting. Energy isn't just personal, it's planetary. And when enough individuals begin to align internally, the field around all of us starts to change. You see, the flower of life isn't just about you, it's about us, our shared blueprint, our interwoven paths, our reactivation as a species. It's been hidden because its power is not individualistic. It dissolves ego, it dissolves hierarchy, it dissolves separation. And that's dangerous to those who profit from illusion. That's why you've been conditioned to overlook it, dismiss it, mock it, reduce it to woo-woo. Because if you saw what it really is, a memory from a higher consciousness, a map back to coherence, a trigger for light locked in your DNA, you'd stop playing the old game. And the moment we all start recognizing it, not just as symbol, but as source, that's when the old world ends and the new one begins. There are energies within you that never started with you. You carry the songs, the sorrows, the silence of those who came before, generations of unspoken truths, unprocessed grief, and unrealized potential, woven into your cells. This is ancestral memory, and it doesn't live in history books. It lives in your body. Traumas pass through bloodlines, not just as wounds, but as dormant codes, waiting. And here's what the ancient mystics knew. Geometry can unlock what language cannot. The flower of life isn't just a spiritual symbol, it's a frequency key. When you engage with it, you're not just realigning your own chakras, you're vibrating through timelines, through blood, through memory. You may begin to dream in symbols, feel emotions that don't belong to you, cry for things you can't explain. Don't dismiss this. It's not confusion. It's clearing. The symbol stirs the ancient intelligence in your DNA, and the unspoken stories of your lineage begin to move, not to haunt you, but to liberate you. Because when you heal through sacred geometry, you don't just heal yourself, you rewrite the field, forward, backward, outward. Your healing becomes a pulse that reaches ancestors and descendants alike. They feel it, and some of them, on the other side, have been waiting for someone in the line to remember this symbol, to trace it with intention, to breathe into its petals, to say, "This ends with me." Not the pain, but the forgetting. Your body is not a mistake. It is a symphony of codes, each note played through light, vibration, and pattern. And at the core of it all, deep in the double helix of your DNA, is a geometry so precise, so divine, it echoes the flower of life itself. Scientists call it the golden spiral, the ratio that governs everything from the swirl of galaxies to the unfurling of a leaf. But mystics always knew, DNA is not just biological, it's spiritual architecture. And when sacred geometry is activated, it begins to resonate with your DNA, not chemically, energetically. You may feel it as a shimmer under the skin, a pulse behind the eyes, a hum in the center of your spine. This is light data awakening, information you were born with, but kept dormant until now. The flower of life doesn't inject new energy. It reminds your system of the blueprint. It reorganizes dissonance. It restores coherence. It tunes your body to the vibration of origin. And what happens when you realign with that? You start remembering things you were never taught. You start speaking truths you've never read. You begin to emanate instead of absorb. You stop chasing healing because the healer in you has awakened. This is the moment where your body becomes more than matter. It becomes memory, lit from within. And that light, it was always there, waiting for a symbol to bring it home. You came into this world fragmented, not broken, but separated. Your mind chased meaning. Your body carried memory. Your soul whispered truth in a language you forgot how to hear. But something always ached, not pain, distance. Distance between who you are and who you were meant to be. The flower of life doesn't just activate energy, it bridges that distance. It aligns the physical with the energetic, the logical with the intuitive, the finite with the eternal. And when all parts of you begin to vibrate in harmony, something profound happens. You stop living as a person, you start living as a field. You feel thoughts before they arrive. You hear silence as clearly as sound. You walk through life not trying to fix yourself, but simply to express yourself. Because when you're aligned, healing is no longer a process. It becomes a byproduct of presence. Relationships shift, no longer clinging or chasing. Purpose clarifies, not as a goal, but as a state of being. Even your physical space responds. Light feels warmer, time feels slower. Reality feels more like response than randomness. And the fear, the doubt, the shame, it fades, not because you've outrun it, but because you've outgrown it. This is the return, to the center, to the pattern, to the part of you that never needed fixing, only remembering. You've searched in temples, in books, in voices louder than your own. You've looked outward for signs, for codes, for proof, for permission to awaken, but the truth was never outside. It was etched inside you from the moment you arrived. The flower of life isn't something you found. It's something that was waiting for you to remember, because before the forgetting, before the body, before the veil, you chose this pattern. You are made of it, built upon it. It is not a symbol you use. It is the geometry of your very being. Every breath you take is an echo of its symmetry. Every heartbeat a reminder of its rhythm. Every intuitive nudge, every synchronicity is the pattern nudging you awake. And now you've felt it move, not on a screen, not on a page, but through your spine, in your chest, behind your eyes. You've unlocked something that can't be unlearned. The energy is flowing. The memory is alive. The design is active. You no longer walk as a seeker. You walk as a carrier of a code, a light, a truth that needs no translation. And when others ask you, What changed? You'll smile. Not with answers, but with alignment. Because when the pattern activates, you don't need to explain it. You become it. And in doing so, you awaken the pattern in others. One glance, one breath, one field of coherence at a time. The symbol is alive. And now, so are you.